some leaders are able to inspire action not through fear but through loyalty, and followers do things for them and not have to force people to do stuff. Don't tell the others though, because I'm about to give you the inside secrets. Here we go. Boom! Alright, we're talking about how to be a great leader. Not just a good one, but someone that stands out. And this is coming from someone who's always been a follower, like me. Through my military career, I've never had a formal position of a leader, as in a sergeant or lieutenant or whatever, right? There has been some times where I had to like lead during drills, exercises, stuff like that, small stuff. That's not a big deal. But like I think you can all relate to this in some way, where it's like we recognize a leader that, okay, what was it about him that made me like I like being under his leadership? What was that made that so good? And I'll show you exactly what it is that like truly separates like the good leaders that get stuff done, but from the great leaders that has like a team that wants to do stuff for them, that builds up underneath them without having to tell them what to do. So we'll start with some examples. The first one is Balian. I hope you guys have seen the movie Kingdom of Heaven. It's a great movie. And Balian, he's basically he's a protagonist, he's the main character. He is a blacksmith who decides to make up for his sins and his wife's sins by heading to Jerusalem. He has no leadership training, no nothing. He's just a good guy, a great guy, who ends up becoming a leader, a baron down in Jerusalem, in the Holy Land. And what Balian does so well is that there's this scene in the movie where they're in the land that he is a leader for. It's so dry, it's so torrid, and they decide to, okay, we need to build a well here. And what Balian does is he is with them in the process of building this well. He does not sit in his castle and just say, okay, build a well, which is so cool, because great leaders, they're able and willing to do exactly the same as their followers. Balian does not sacrifice his beliefs or standards, if you will. Like there's so many times in a movie where he is able to take bribes in order to rank up in smaller ways or bigger ways, but he remains steadfast in his faith, in his beliefs, in his standards. And I've talked about this in the past. It's like if you have no self-respect, if you're just okay, you take your beliefs or standards and just throw them out the window for temporary gain, then the respect you gain from that is not real respect. No one actually respects you if you have no self-respect. So you need to have that intact, those standards. Balian has genuine care for people. In the movie, his mission as a knight, he takes the knight's vow to protect people. And when he takes that vow, it's so strong. So he genuinely cares about the other people. And there's this scene where they have to protect people from the Saladins, the caravan who's coming to get them, right? So he has to lead from the front to protect all these people. And he's willing to do that. So he does the same as followers. He leads from the front, and he's intact in the belief that, okay, we need to protect these people. That's what truly separates him. Right, so this next one is funny because here we have me, my squad leader, and my teammate, my squad mate. And you're probably wondering who is the squad leader, right? Because he doesn't separate himself from this picture. That's me in the top right, by the way. We're inside a tent, stranded up in the mountains for 5 days. Basically, no communications with our allies either. Yeah, who's the squad leader here? Well, it's the guy in the middle, and you wouldn't recognize it, right? Because he doesn't have his golden chair. He doesn't do anything special, but that's why we respected him so much. Our squad leader. This was the squad leader back last year. I won't name drop him, but what he did so well is that he did not take himself too seriously as a leader. It was not like he saw himself as here and we were here, and that's so important. And when the bulls weren't flying, he was so cordial and like respectful in his ways, right? It was no that there's no reason when the bullets aren't flying, when shit doesn't hit the fan, or when shit isn't hitting the fan, to be like, oh, go do this, go do that, to berate people around. There's no reason for that. To keep the humanity of it, say thank you, say please, everything like that. It's so important because the followers or the people underneath, they want that, right? They want that human connection of it. So it's so important. Now I talked to him before this, if I could use him, of course, as an example. And what he said to me, we talked about some stuff. I asked him, "What do you think makes you such a great leader?" And I gave him some examples. And we talked back and forth. And something he said was, "I like treating people as people, and respect breeds respect." And what this guy has figured out is that as a leader, if you just give the respect before, most leaders, they get this wrong. They think that they have to get the respect, right? They have to like fight for the respect. But great leaders, they do this. They give the respect and then they get it. They don't have to demand it. It just comes back to them. I think a lot of leaders are so afraid of them not being respected that they end up not being respected. They're afraid of all the things that could go wrong, and so they don't, they lose their humanity in it all. But what this guy did so well, yeah, he gave the respect and it got back to him tenfold. Now here is a video of me and the guy. So in this video, it's basically me and him. We went up this mountain to scout out this area for a live fire exercise that was going to take place at a later point. And what is so good is that he could have chosen any two people to do this, but he chose himself and me. I had to go there regardless, basically, because I was the one who's carrying the laser. We did use a laser plotter to get out the distances and everything. So, but he could have just chosen someone else and slept on well, and had a good night's sleep. But he woke up early. He chose to take on that task with me. We went up that mountain. It was a pretty, it's a grueling way up because there was no footing to get, tons of snow. You're all warm because of all the clothes you're wearing. But he is able and willing to do exactly the same task as we are. Now, great leaders, they relate to work as like this. This is how I noticed. So they're capable and willing to do the same work. They don't delegate the shitty stuff, like my guy here. I almost name dropped him there. But they don't delegate all this shit stuff, and they are mission focused, and they set the examples for others to follow. Which means that if other people lose, if the followers they lose sight of the mission, the leaders have to be the ones who get the group back on point. And also they lead from the front, which is huge. We had this other guy, this lieutenant. He was supposed to be with us, but he never showed up. So we couldn't relate to him in any way. We didn't even respect him. Nobody liked him. Like we respect him in the military way. Barely. Honestly. Like this guy, he was supposed to be around with us in our like platoon, but he didn't even care. He didn't even show up. He had a choice. So we were like, why the fuck is this guy here? What is he doing? So how do great leaders relate to their followers? They give respect before demanding it, as we saw with the example, which means that they ultimately don't have to demand it. They're some leaders are so afraid of this, and but they don't realize that most guys they will give the respect right back, and it will build loyalty upon that. They're cordial in the way of speech. They say thank you, they say please when stuff isn't like when there's no urgency there. It's like yeah, they're like human, and they do not put themselves on a pedestal like with the lieutenant who was like, yeah, I don't need to be there. They can be there. I'm here. I'm doing other stuff. Like they think they're so important. Now, how do great leaders relate to themselves? This is an important point, which most people don't cover. It's funny. People who talk about leadership, they usually just talk about how to relate to others, but they don't talk about how to relate to themselves. I thought about this. Great leaders, they see a leadership not as like an opportunity to task people, to get people to do something. They see it as a burden to bear or as a responsibility, extra responsibility that they want to have. Not as just, okay, go do this, go do that, but it's like, okay, if we can get all this input and I can take all that responsibility, I know I can make a great end product for those higher up. Right? That's a responsibility they want to bear. And so this is such a key element to all this. Now, great leaders, they don't compromise their followers. Now, my example for this is that let's say me and my squad leader, or yeah, my whole squad, we went the wrong way, we did the wrong thing, right? Maybe it was me that messed up with the navigation, as I'm the point man, I'm the scout. But he would then go ahead and be like, okay, like we messed up, and he would take that blame from the higher ups, right? And then he could come to me and say, okay, what you did, you need to do that. We can't do that again, Nico. And I would be like, okay, I understand. But the bad leaders, and what I've noticed, this is insanely weird, by the way, but I'm not surprised. All these weak leaders, especially in the Norwegian military, who they want all the respect, they want all the admiration, all the fame for good work being done. But when shit hits the fan, they would just step out of the way and let the blame bullets hit the followers. That's no way to go about it. You take the responsibility, you get the fame as well. That's how it should work. So my squad leader did this really well, and a lot of the people I've seen on the lower levels, they do this really well. But when you come to higher ups, they just they don't give a shit because they're so, I'll make a different video on this actually. Well, I'm going off on a tangent. They don't compromise the reliefs, just like we saw with Balian. Or like if let's say some like the lieutenant told my squad leader to be like, oh, you can't be this nice with the boys, you have to be more like dish dish dish, punish them more, right? He would go like, yeah, well, I'm not going to do that because these are my guys. That's, not compromising your beliefs. Or like with Balian, not compromising, short-term wins for, standards that he has set for himself. Some key points: enthusiasm as a leader is a necessity. If there's no enthusiasm, no drive, then nothing gets done. No one wants to follow that. Low energy, boring. No one gives a shit about that. And it is a leader's job to always have the energy, to have that enthusiasm. And even if, like, I've seen this firsthand, I've been in the squads. If everyone is down, no food, no sleep, everyone is tired, the leader needs to have the capacity to say, "We got this." He's the last barrier, because he might not know that people look up to him in that way, but people do. The followers do. The soldiers do. That he needs to be the last barrier of, "We got this. Let's push on." That's his job. Trusting followers before seeing the work. So I'll give you guys an example. Have you ever worked when having your boss like look over your shoulder and looking at what you do? It doesn't feel good. And what great followers do, no, I mean great leaders do, is that they just hand out the work even before seeing the results and knowing what this guy can do. They just hand out a task and say to the guy, "I know you got this." And what happens with a follower is that we go like, that's weird. You trust me already? Okay, I'm gonna give this guy a great product. Right? I'm gonna give this guy I'm gonna do exactly what it says. I'm gonna do it great. And most leaders, they're so afraid of doing this because, of course, they would have to take the blame for the bad work and then have to, tell off the other guy, the follower. But they're so afraid of doing that, and that creates the bad product, the fear of it. If you just, as a great leader, say to this guy, "Okay, go do this, go do that. You know, you got this. You're the man." Then the follower will be like, "Yeah, I'm the man. I got this. I'm gonna deliver. I'm gonna deliver, boss." Boom, winning team. Because what this does is it rewards the good followers. It's also good for that because you're able to separate who's actually to trust or not, and it rewards those and creates solid loyalty. Right. So how do we make a leader good? We do it by becoming an extraordinary follower, which is a skill, and I will teach you how. Everyone is so focused on, okay, how can I be a leader? How can I get to the top and everything, right? If you just become an extraordinary follower, then everything sorts itself out. How can you support the group, the team, everything, right? That's what it's all about. It's teamwork. This is a team. I'll link a video down in the description that talks about hierarchy and the teamwork and everything. You should go check that out. It's very closely linked to this video. Take, for example, Balian. He had no aspirations to become a leader, but he used his humanity. This is a key point, by the way. If you just lead using your humanity, then respect will come towards you. So he had no training. He wasn't even prepared to be a leader. He was just put in the task, okay, you're a baron now. Go. You should watch that movie. Watch Kingdom of Heaven. Also, what you should do, subscribe, like, comment on this video if you liked it. I hope you liked it. And make sure to stick around for the other video on how to become an extraordinary follower. And with that, take care and God bless.